Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox, and sitting over there is
Sister Kate.
She's here. So, story time, and then we're going somewhere. Little beverage, little Mark of the Maker, little well water. I was in Georgia. Fort Benning, Georgia. And honestly, that's where I shot my first deer as an adult. I'd shot a few as a kid with my dad. And then, a big span of time goes by. And we're at Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm attending the Infantry Officers Advanced Course. And which now I think they call it Captain's Career Course or something. And got to go hunting. And I shot a deer there, my first deer as an adult, which is a different story. And so my point is, I didn't really know what I was doing yet. Sorry, this tripod is up a little high. I know. It's the best I can do. I didn't really know what I was doing yet. And there were some other captains in the course who were hunters. And I'd go out with them every now and then. And man, I was out with this one guy one time. He was from Maine. And how does this story go? There's actually 3 of us out hunting in the training area. And I heard like all these people running. I thought it was soldiers running through the woods. It turned out it was wild turkeys. That's when I decided I wanted to start hunting turkeys too. But sometime in that period of time, right around the turkey incident, this guy shot. And so me and the other guy, after a little bit of time, made our way over to where he was to help him with his deer. And he didn't have a deer. And we're like, you shoot a deer? It's like, I heard a noise in a bush and I fired a shot. And he had done something else. That's incredibly unsafe. You heard a noise in a bush, so you fired a shot? What if it was me in the bush? What if it was, a turkey in a bush and it's not turkey season and you can't shoot them with a rifle anyway? That's just really dumb. And to put it in context, I was just instructing somebody the other day how to deer hunt. I talked about that in my write-up the other day. And one of the things I told him was, when I focus on a deer, not only do I aim for the kill spot, but I try to focus on a specific, exact, hair. Now, my scope doesn't pick up an individual hair, but that's kind of the concept. This exact spot right there. And hit it. Very precise about where I shoot the deer. I certainly wouldn't hear a noise in the bushes and shoot at it. And this guy had done a couple other things that were unsafe that right now escape me. But my wife, I came home and, Sister Kate and I talk. And when I told her about the bush, shooting at the bush sound story, she had just read an article where a hunter in Maine had seen a white flash and fired a shot at it. Because deer, white-tailed deer, when they're alarmed, their tail comes up and it's very white and it sticks out in the woods. And that's a warning sign. And so he thought that was a deer and he shot at it. And he killed a woman who was hanging up laundry on her line in her backyard who was wearing white mittens. Shot her right in the chest and killed her. I don't remember if he's found guilty or not. And that story, the shooting at the noise in the bushes, and a couple other things that I had told my wife that this guy had done. One of the few times in our marriage where she looked at me with her serious voice and said, "You may not go hunting with that guy anymore." Is that a true story?
True story.
True story. And I valued her opinion enough and her seriousness enough that I just quit hunting with that guy. So here's the deal. When white-tailed deer are in the woods and they're feeding, and they're herd animals usually, they walk around in groups. Their tails are down and they're kind of flicking, They're down like this and they're kind of flicking a little bit. But when they see something, hear something, or smell something that they're not sure about or that alarms them, that tail goes straight up. It's called a flag. And the underside of it is bright white. Now, unlike my beard. And so, my beard is pretty white. And again, when I film at night like this, it looks darker than it does during the daytime. I don't know, these dark spots come out somehow. But you've seen most of my videos I shoot in the daytime outside, and it's a very white beard. And the last 2 years, what I've taken to doing is wearing we call them drive-on rags in the Army. It's a triangular bandage or a cravat. They're about this long bandanas, whoop, that long triangles, and you can make a sling or a dressing or whatever, but usually we just tied them around our neck. This was before shamags were cool, and I have a couple of those, and so I tie it around my face so it's like this. And of course I have a hat on, and my light's not on right now. See, that's on. So I have a hat on, and I tie that around my face to kind of try and hide the beard for the most part. But I'm telling you, it's a pain in the neck. And what I'm worried about is the deer. I'm not worried about Maine hunters out in the woods, because I hunt in Kansas. We'll leave it at that. But I'm not worried about Maine hunters. But I'm worried about deer, because white alarms them. And even if you turn slowly, something that couldn't see the white before now sees the white. They could think it's a deer tail and, make them spooky and run away or whatever. And so sometimes I hunt with a head net on, like the camouflage. You pull it over and it has like little eye holes, and it has a little metal thing right here that you can bend to hold around your nose. And so it's camo hanging down here. But what I don't like about the camo head net is that I know it's just very thin polyester material over your ears, but I feel like it occludes, is that the right word, my hearing? It hampers my hearing. Just like this, I don't wear my hat this low on my ears when I'm out hunting. I go like this and I stick my big old ears out. I look like the Travelocity gnome. But I do that so I can hear. And then that when I wear the tie-on thing, sometimes it falls down. It's a pain in the neck. So what I've been thinking about, here's where you get the vote, Vikings. I have this whole cooler out there of walnut stained water from my little experiment that I showed you guys. And I was reading about Mordant, which is a dye fixer. And I said that I had dyed my coat before with walnut dye and it all washed out. And I got to thinking about that. That's not exactly true. It reminds me of the line in Independence Day. Sir, that's not exactly true. I had dyed it with RIT dye. And I'd added the salt and it all came out. I hadn't tried walnut hull dye yet. So I was looking around today, and alum is a kind of mordant, and I was researching it. And I was thinking I'm just going to buy like a 5-gallon pail of it, which is like $100. And so then I thought, well, maybe I should look into how much mordant you really need. If you only need a quarter teaspoon, buying 5 gallons of it's kind of stupid. And you don't need that much of it. And I don't want to get into mordant and dyeing because I don't really know what I'm talking about, only what I've read. But I read something that said for normal cellulose products, cotton, hemp, linen, you don't need a mordant with walnut hull dye because of the way it's constructed chemically. And I thought, So I took my Carhartt coat, the one with all the frayed sleeves, emptied the pockets, and I took it out there and broke the ice on the cooler. And I know you're supposed to heat it up. I submerged it with a walking stick. So we'll see what happens to that coat. And then I got a wild hair, and I started reading about dyeing hair with that walnut hull dye. And I'm thinking about dyeing this dark brown with the walnut hull dye just for deer season. Like painting it on with a brush or something. And my wife said, oh, that's going to look good. Dye your beard dark with your hair white. Because, well, in this light it doesn't look it, but again, in daylight it kind of looks whitish. And I don't have much hair anyway. And I said, honey, I wear a hat in the woods, so it doesn't matter. And even when we're out in public, I usually have a hat on. So I'm not really worried about that. So what do you guys think? I'm thinking about basically taking a paintbrush, dipping it in that stuff and going and painting it on and then seeing what happens. Wouldn't you like to know? I'm worried. I told her I can't dye my hair because if I do, I'd get it on my skin while I was doing it, and that would be gross. This, my hair, I think I can get most of it without touching skin. Be an interesting video, right? Yeah, do it! Get a faux hawk! All right, what say y'all? Should I dye this beard just for, this season of people out in the woods hunting deer? Because one, I don't want somebody to mistake me for a deer's butt and shoot me. Pastor Joe, you got a face made for radio. You look like a deer's butt. And, it might help when I'm hunting. What do y'all think? Should PJ dye his beard with walnut dye? All right. I'll see you out there.